Right. Thank you, Simon. This talk is called Why I'm Giving This Talk and Not a Bot. Let's start with me. My name is Daniel Winterstein, and I came to Edinburgh in 1999 to study artificial intelligence, and I've especially focused in natural language processing. It's a good city, it's a good subject. I've not regretted either of those decisions. I'm still here. The CTO at Winterwell. We're a machine learning consultancy, and the main thing we do is we make a, let's get some, we make a product called SoDash, which is a social media platform, and it's used by companies like Harrods and Selfridges and several travel companies to manage customer support over the social media channels. We have a new product which is for SMEs, and this is a robot intern, which we call SoGrow. And SoGrow is for people who know they should do more on social media, but they don't have the time to do it. And I will be demoing that later. But first, let's talk some more about bots. So I tried getting a bot to do this talk. Let's see if we can do that again. This may be a little unfair on Cortana. Hello, Cortana. Can you help me with the talk? Maybe the microphone's not working. Hello, Cortana. Okay, that was right. That was unfair without the website. When I tried it earlier, though, Cortana's default response was to send me for a search for the phrase talk. So that is why you have me here tonight. But if we ask for a second, what if that had worked? We're here, there's several of us here involved in making bots, and thousands of people around the world involved in developing AI and bot technology. What if we're successful? And I think we will be successful. What does that mean? And so in this talk, I'm going to start off very briefly looking at the big picture around automation, then get into bots and where bots can go astray and what makes deploying a good bot solution hard to do. I'm describing the sins of bots as being insincerity, poor etiquette, and being useless. And then look at one particular approach to making bots, which is a machine learning approach where you're doing bots by example. And that will lead us nicely into a quick demo of SoGrow. Okay, so let's start with automation, the big picture. Fundamentally, there's no getting around it. If bots are successful, they do work that would otherwise need humans to do, and ultimately that is going to mean less jobs for humans. So someday, a robot is going to fire you. At least when it does that, you'll presumably be able to get your P45 at the same time. The data entry, the paperwork is going to be seamless. It's a bureaucratic dream. Grown men will weep at the joined up multi-channel communication that will go on around this. But there's no getting around. If bots are successful, they are going to change employment and how society works. There's been studies by very sober people. Like I think the Bank of England did one where they were predicting about a 30% reduction in human workforce over 30 years. And a lot of people find this scary, which is very understandable. But it's kind of another way to look at it is it's a bit of a sad reflection if life without hard or menial work scares us. And instead, let's try and imagine that the other thing these bots are going to do is they are going to make productivity go up. And if productivity goes up, there's more wealth being created. Society as a whole is wealthier. the question is, what happens to that wealth? Will we use it to make a better society where we are all better off and able to lead lives more focused on what's valuable to us? Or will we go down other more dystopian routes? And I think that choice is, that choice is in our hands. It's something, I'm not going to dwell on this talk beyond saying, I think that whilst we are working on bots and pushing forward these technology barriers, we should also be thinking about what that means for society. And one particular solution that might work is to introduce a citizen's wage, which is this idea that instead of valuing people for their productivity as workers, we value them just for being people, and everyone gets a basic income which allows you to live a normal and happy life. And I will now get off my soapbox and move on to the move on to the meat of this talk. From this, people have this concern of, will I be replaced by a robot? When will I be replaced by a robot? And why isn't my robot clone ready yet? Because bots are hard. And let's talk briefly about some of the ways that bots go wrong. I'm grouping the cardinal sins of bots into three: insincerity, poor etiquette, and being useless. And these sins are not inherent to bots. Pushy salespeople and customer service who can't really help you, these are not new inventions. These have been around for a long time. Bots are actually potentially part of the solution to that. But what bots do let you do is they allow companies to be insincere, annoying, and useless at scale. And one of the problems is automation is hard because when we do a task as human beings, we bring with it to even the simplest of tasks, like saying hello and talking about the weather, we bring a wealth of knowledge and understanding that bots just don't have at the moment. Picking on Microsoft again, did anyone follow the Tay Tweets bot that was released a while back by Microsoft? It was modeled on being a teenage girl, and it would learn from people talking to it on the internet. And well, the internet is an interesting place, and it very rapidly turned into a neo-Nazi bot. It went from, in the space of 24 hours, when it was switched on, its first tweet was to say how much it loved human beings, and within 24 hours it was tweeting neo-Nazi stuff and saying it hated everyone. They switched it off, deloused it, put it back on again, and the internet, second time round, turned it into a junkie who talked about hash. So these are hard problems, learning the skills of navigating conversations. And to pick another example, to go back to Cortana, I was using Cortana the other day trying to get some balloons for a party. And the conversation went a bit like this, said, oh, we can't use it, the internet's not working here. Hey Cortana, search for helium balloons. Cortana replied, here is a definition for the word search. Me. Search for helium balloons. Cortana opened a browser search for the blues. Maybe my accent. Me. Thank you, Cortana. At this point, Cortana crashed. These are hard tasks. Cortana may not be the best bot out there, but these are very hard tasks that it's wrestling with. So that's the first thing, that it's easy to build a bot which overreaches itself. It tries to be human, it tries to do everything, and it fails. And when it fails, this is the point Gihan was making earlier, we have to build for failure when we're building bots so that this is part of what we're delivering is a good experience. The next sin is insincerity, that it's surprisingly easy using digital channels to write these scripts which are just too pushy, and well, they annoy your customers. And unfortunately, if you're looking at metrics, you will not really see the annoyance. You will see the people who clicked through, but not the people who were turned off and now think less of your brand. Classic example of this is the automatic direct message on Twitter, when you follow someone and they auto DM you back with something saying, "Great to connect with you. Why don't you like my Facebook page too?" And everyone knows this is a bot, and basically the read rate on these is very low. That channel has been degraded as a result of too many bots. Also, you'll probably get a lot of emails spam these days where, here's a couple of examples from my inbox today. These are subject lines. "Daniel, open this email for 12 people you should meet," smiley face. Spam. Or another one, "Making great customer experiences," spam. They're pretending to be my friend. This is insincere. They are a sales thing. They're pretending that we're having a conversation when they're cold calling me. This is insincere. It's spam, and it deserves to go in the spam bin. There is nothing wrong with sales. There is nothing wrong with sales bots, but they should present themselves honestly. If a bot should not try to be your friend, unless that is in fact its purpose. It is a friendly bot and you have installed it for specifically that point. So I think the key to sincerity is very simple. It's be honest and open. That's my insight. Sincerity this is not a technological problem. It is a design problem. And just ask yourself when you're creating bots, how would you feel as a recipient? If the person knew that it was a bot and what the bot's purpose was, would they still feel the same way about the conversation? And imagine that this wasn't digital, that you were talking to someone in an equivalent setting. Would you behave this way? And if the answers are yes, and often they are, then this is a sincere bot. It is doing a purpose. It is trying to help people, which can include selling your product. And if the answers are no, then rethink, because this bot is breaking some social etiquette rules. Social etiquette. This is, probably, does everyone recognize Clippy? Yes. The first virtual assistant, perhaps, and probably the one that set back the market in the field for years. I think Clippy's sin was that he was intrusive. He didn't have a sense of etiquette. He jumped into conversations without being invited. And so it's important to understand the etiquette of where your bots are operating. And that etiquette varies a lot between channels. So there are certain things which are, there's spaces in Twitter where talking to strangers and jumping into conversations is acceptable, and there's spaces where it isn't. And then on other channels, it really isn't. So it's understanding the dynamics of the conversations that you're having and knowing when it's appropriate, when it's not. Okay, having talked a bit about the problems of bots, let's talk a bit about some of the solutions. For etiquette and sincerity, it's about how we use, as companies, we use bots. It's not a technical problem. It's a problem about taking care of your customers. Being useless, though, that is a technical problem, and it has a variety of solutions. I think that brings us to why don't you use automation more? Simon did a survey at the beginning. I think maybe 2 people put up their hands for using bots in their company. And why are we not all using them to handle our drudge work? Quick survey, who here has menial tasks that come into their inbox and their email?
Just email and story.
Okay.
It's exasperating.
And yet, most of us are not using automation to solve that. Why is that? Well, it's partly the fear that the bots will do more harm than good. It's partly the quality about whether we can get a bot to deliver sufficient quality for us. And it's partly the time and the cost around deploying a system, which can be very substantial. So that leads to three broad approaches to building better bots. And one, quite nicely, I think they align with the three speakers we have tonight. One is around tools for bot building. I think that's where Converse AI are working. One is around investing the time and resources to develop a high-end, high-quality bot. And I'm guessing that's where Skyscanner are. And the other approach is about bringing in machine learning so that the bot can draw as much as possible from the wealth of interactions that are already going on. And that is the approach that we're taking in SoGrow. So let me leave the tools and the high-quality bots and talk about machine learning a bit. Instead of programming the bot, instead of setting out rules and setting out behaviors, what if the bot learns from you? Now, the first thing we want bots to handle is going to be repetitive tasks, which means that, well, the thing about repetitive tasks is, by definition, you have to do them a lot. So there is repeated training data there for the bot to learn from. Having said that, it is hard because human communication is hard. There really are a billion ways of phrasing anything, and people will find them. And if you try and solve the general problem of learning from example to deliver an NLP bot, you end up with the problem that Cortana had, that it's too hard for the technology we have at the moment. But that's the general problem. If we frame the problem so that what we're solving is something quite specific, and we focus the types of conversation that the bot can have and the types of interaction it can have, then what we can create is a space where it's much more tractable for the bot to deliver something. So these aren't bots they're not trying to be as intelligent as people. They're trying to do one thing well. And at this point, I am going to show you a couple of bots that I've been involved in building. And let's start with the very first bot I built. This is probably from 2009, I think. That is a small blue toy called Honker. And if anyone knows the comedian Adam Hills, he plays the Edinburgh Festival quite regularly and often raises money for the Sick Kids Hospital. And in 2009, he had found this toy, and he was using this as his focus for fundraising. And we built a social media bot that was the voice of Honker, the small blue alien. And all this bot would do is, if someone happened to mention it, it would retweet them and say honk. That is the sum total of actions that bot would perform. Honk, retweet. So comparing that against my sins, was Honker sincere? Yes. When it said honk, it meant it. And as someone receiving that tweet, you understood what you were, what you were getting was, what you saw was what you got. There was no deception of the audience in it. Was it, did it obey etiquette? Well, it only talked to people who, you had to mention it before it would come into the conversation, so it was not intrusive, it was respectful of etiquette. Was it useful? There, maybe it falls down. But it did help run this campaign. The campaign was very successful. We raised £6,000 over the space of 3 weeks and finished with a series of completely sold out gigs that were added just at the last minute around the Honk for Honker gigs. So it did fulfill a purpose. That's a very simple bot, and I think there's something in that from, there is a space for simple bots doing simple things. On to SoGrow, which is a slightly more sophisticated bot. SoGrow is a robot intern for social media. You tell SoGrow about your company and your target audience, and it then finds relevant news for you to share on social media. And it will also find people who fit, with your topics and with the sort of person you're looking to connect to. And it will do the Twitter equivalent of batting eyelashes at them, of maybe follow them, or if they make a relevant tweet, it might like it. And what this does is it lays down a kind of basic level of social media activity which helps keep your brand active on social media. It's by no means a replacement for a proper marketing strategy, but it is going to build you a bit of focused community and keep your activity there so that you are visible on social media. And let me show you a bit of SoGrow. This is its own Twitter page. We can see it retweeting stuff. I'm not online, so a lot of this stuff won't come through. If there's activity going on, here it's talking about internal company news. So if there's stuff going on inside our company, it might post about that. Lots of retweets. This will be, again, stuff going on that it's picking up from either the blog or our internal issue tracker, stuff that's been marked, and it's created tweets out of that. And it's also followed some people. And that's a completely automated system. We have it running, we have a few corporate profiles that we use on social media, and they are now run by our bots. And this system, here's the setup of the current version. And when we were building it, we figured that really simplifying the process was core to getting bots out there. Though, if it was a complex process that required a lot of training, this just wasn't going to work for the SME market. So the SoGrow setup is, it takes about 10-15 minutes, and it asks you a series of questions about you, about your company, about your audience. It will do things like take your website, and then it will grab that and do some analysis of that for what kind of topics do you talk on as well. To get the setup down to about 10-15 minutes, we firstly focused what it was going to do, we simplified it, and I must confess we also dumbed it down a bit in that we removed this grew out of some Sodash work. We removed some of the feedback and learning loops that Sodash has. And we are now launching, well, end of September we will be launching version 2 of this, which I can show you mock-up of now. And what we've done in version 2 is to add back in the feedback loops. So what SoGrow version 2 does is to make suggestions to you of what it would like to do. And you as a human can vet these. And as you do so, it will be training the AI behind it as to what you consider to be on topic, focused, what you approve of, what you don't. And this will also, actually this isn't connected, this is, so this will pretend it works. And this system allows the user to be always checking and training the system. And then when they're comfortable, once the system's reached a sufficient level of confidence, it will post a message for you going, I am now 90% confident I can predict these things correctly. Do you want me to do some automatically? And so you switch on the automation only at the point that you've hit a level of confidence. So the workflow here is, it starts off as a streamlining tool that's suggested to you, but you, the human, are completely in control. And then as it gains confidence, and as you gain confidence in it, it then asks you for more leeway to take the reins off and let it do its own thing. And that's coming out end of September. So it's a bit of a shame about the timing of this talk, because I wanted to say to everyone, sign up. But please hold that sort of sign up for about a month and then sign up. Right. That is basically everything I wanted to show you. So thank you very much for listening. Next time I do this talk, maybe it will be the bot that does it. And according to Simon's rule, if you have questions, hold on to them.
Okay, round of applause. Thank you. Well.